There was a time on Earth when life had already begun, but nothing walked, nothing hunted, and nothing made a sound. No animals roamed the land, no insects filled the air, no eyes watched the horizon. And yet the planet was not lifeless. It was ruled by something else entirely. Long before animals ever existed on land, Earth belonged to plants, though not the kind seen today. These were not forests with towering trees or fields of grass swaying in the wind. This was a far older, stranger world, where the first green life quietly took control of an empty planet. To understand this era, it is necessary to go back more than 470 million years to a time when Earth's surface was almost completely barren. The continents were rocky, dry, and exposed. There was no soil, no roots, and no ecosystems as they exist now. Life for billions of years had been confined to the oceans. But something was beginning to change. Tiny, simple organisms, descended from aquatic algae, started to move toward the edges of land. Scientists believe these early pioneers were similar to modern mosses and liverworts. Though far more primitive, they clung to damp surfaces, surviving only in places where water was still available. At first, their presence was barely noticeable. Thin green films spread across wet rocks and muddy edges of ancient shorelines. These organisms had no true roots, no vascular systems, and no way to grow tall. They stayed low, hugging the ground, absorbing moisture directly from their surrounding. But what they lacked in complexity, they made up for in impact. These early plants were among the first to perform photosynthesis on land. Using sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide, they produced energy and released oxygen into the atmosphere. Over millions of years, this quiet process began to transform the planet. The air slowly changed. Carbon dioxide levels began to drop, while oxygen levels increased. It was not a sudden shift, but a gradual, relentless transformation. These simple plants were reshaping Earth's atmosphere, preparing it for a future that had not yet arrived. At the same time, they were doing something equally important beneath their surfaces. As these early plants lived and died, their remains accumulated on the rocky ground, mixed with weathered minerals and microbial activity. This material began forming the very first soils. What was once bare stone started to become something new, something capable of supporting more life. This was a turning point. With soil came stability. With stability came expansion. Plants began to spread. By around 430 million years ago, during the Silurian period, plant life had become more established on land. New forms were emerging, slightly taller, slightly more complex. Some developed simple vascular systems, allowing them to transport water internally and grow upright. One of the earliest known examples is Cooksonia, a plant so simple it barely resembles modern vegetation. It had thin, leafless stems that branched occasionally, ending in small structures that released spores. There were no leaves, no flowers, and no seeds, just a basic system designed to survive and reproduce. But it was enough. These plants began to cover more ground, forming the earliest land-based plant community. They spread along riverbanks, across floodplains, and into moist lowland, gradually transforming the appearance of the continent. And still, there were no animals on land. The world remained silent. No grazing, no movement, no disturbance, only growth. Without predators or competition from animals, plants were free to expand in ways that would never happen again. They were the dominant force, shaping the land without interference. As time passed, evolution continued. By the Devonian period, around 400 million years ago, plants began to grow taller and more complex. Vascular systems improved, allowing water to travel further within their structures. This made vertical growth possible, and for the first time, plants began reaching upward toward the sky. The land, once flat and empty, started to change. Small clusters of plants became larger groups. These groups became the earliest forests, though very different from those seen today. There were no true trees at first, only tall, leafless, or sparsely branched plants forming open, strange landscapes. Among them were early giants, like Wadieza, which could grow several meters tall. These plants had thick trunks and crown-like structures at their tops, but still lacked true leaves. They reproduced using spores, releasing them into the air to spread across the land. These early forests were not dense. Sunlight reached the ground easily, and the spaces between plants were wide. But their presence marked a major shift. For the first time, Earth had vertical ecosystems, and with them came even greater change. The roots of these plants, still evolving but becoming more advanced, began to break apart rocks and stabilize soil. Rivers changed their paths as sediment was trapped by plant life. Landscapes that were once shaped only by wind and water were now influenced by living organisms. The impact was global. Plants were not just growing, they were engineering the planet. As forests expanded, the effects on the atmosphere intensified. More carbon dioxide was absorbed, and more oxygen was released. Scientists believe that this process contributed to significant climate changes, possibly even global cooling events. It is a paradox of life on Earth. The very organisms that made the planet more habitable were also capable of altering it in ways that caused disruption. Some researchers suggest that the rapid spread of early forests may have contributed to environmental instability toward the end of the Devonian period. Changes in atmospheric composition, combined with shifts in ocean chemistry, may have played a role in extinction events affecting marine life. But even as some forms of life declined, plants continued to evolve. New groups emerged: ferns, lycophytes, and horsetail-like plants spreading across vast swampy regions. These plants grew larger, denser, and more diverse, forming thick vegetation that covered entire landscapes. And still, for much of this time, animals had yet to fully establish themselves on land. Plants remained the dominant force. They controlled the atmosphere, shaped the terrain, and defined the environment in which future life would exist. Eventually, animals would arrive. Arthropods would begin to crawl across the ground. Insects would take to the air. Vertebrates would follow, adapting to life beyond the oceans. But when they came, they did not enter an empty world. They entered a world already built. A world shaped by hundreds of millions of years of plant evolution. The soil beneath their feet, the air they breathed, the landscapes they moved through, all of it was created by plants that had ruled long before them. And even today, the legacy of those ancient rulers remains. Every forest, every field, every patch of green on Earth carries traces of that distant past. The systems that sustain life now were born in a time when plants stood alone, transforming a silent, lifeless land into a living world. There was no audience for their work, no creatures to witness their rise, but without them, nothing that followed would have been possible. Before animals, before forests as we know them, before the world became familiar, there was a green beginning, and it changed everything.